Arkansas Derby 2026 in the Money Media video channel, YouTube channel, PTF and JK back with you to talk about this one. It's brought to you by our friends at morningline.io. Morningline.io, a really fun and interesting new way to play the horses. Make sure you check it out. Morningline.io/ITM. That is the best link to use if you want to get involved. We'll talk about them a little bit later in this video. But let's start off, JK, going through the field and some of these key contenders in this year's Arkansas Derby. And let's start with one who's run two pretty good races in a row at Oaklawn, Silent Tactic. I really liked him. Two back. Wasn't sure what to make of him last time, and he ran a terrific race again. Seems like a horse who's going to take a lot of money in here. What are your thoughts on Silent Tactic?
Yeah, he reminds me of a horse I feel like we see every year on the Derby trail, right? Where, he wins one of the preps, and then he just kind of, comes running late and just always feels like he's kind of around, but he's never really all the way around. I don't necessarily need him in this spot. I just feel like there's some that are steps ahead or potentially could take steps ahead of him. I'd love to own him, but I just don't think he's the progressive type that is going to continue on this trail and get a blanket of roses laid over his back.
Yeah, I after fading him last time, I'm tempted to have him as a little bit more of a backup, just because I think he showed at least that he wasn't just the product of that big setup that he had two back. But I hear you. There's serious competition in here. There's also some really interesting wild card type horses, one of whom is Napoleon Solo. You look back to how fast he ran as a 2-year-old. He was on everybody's, or 90% of people's anyway, Derby top 10 lists at one point, based on how fast he ran as a 2-year-old. But then last time, it didn't look like the horse that ran the 95 in the Champagne. That was a very worrisome race in the Fountain of Youth. Chad Summers has said, he just got tired. It was one step of a 3-step plan. He's saying the right things. Are you believing them, though?
No, not really. I didn't really believe it the day I saw it. Obviously, no one can take away from the fact that he's a Champagne winner, but he based on his performance last time, when you take that much time with a horse to lead them up to a spot and you wait towards, you take your time in the progression of his 3-year-old year, you're supposed to have him a little bit more ready than Napoleon Solo was in Florida. The fact that he ran as poorly as he did, I don't necessarily see an excuse. He feels like a horse that was a bigger, stronger, faster 8th grader that could shave, and everyone now has caught up to him in high school. That's what it feels like. He'll obviously have an opportunity to prove me wrong on Saturday.
Dunking in junior high, that kind of thing. And I think you make a really good point about the timing of the race. Had that been a Holy Bull run early in the year, emptying out like that, maybe you say, it's all part of the plan. But when you're coming back a month later, maybe you want to see at least just a little bit more. Let's talk about Litmus Test in this spot. The number 9 runner, Bob Baffert, having a player at the party. Will you be busting out the silver wig for this one?
No, he left a little bit to be desired in the Rebel as well, right? He made the front, and he's I don't ever usually think that Baffert horses go too fast on the front. I don't. And these fractions weren't fast either, but I don't usually let that get to me. That's how his horses are trained. That's how they run. They excel in those situations. Some of his Baffert's best performances from his horses are when they go really fast early. I just don't think he's quite that good. I think he's probably a cut below. Feels like some others are a little bit better. Who knows? He might take another step forward if they let him get loose out there. Maybe they aren't as worried about him. I doubt that will be the case, but he doesn't necessarily move me. There's nothing on paper to suggest he's going to improve, or at least outright. And he's likely still going to be treated as if he's trained by a Hall of Famer named Bob Baffert, who wins a lot of races at Oaklawn. And that, to me, makes it a little problematic.
Yeah, he's one for me. Lower slots of the verticals, sure. But I think somebody's supposed to finish in the top 2 spots ahead of him. We talked about the question mark that is Napoleon Solo. Very similar types of questions surround number 3, Blackout Time. This is the one owned by our friends or in partnership, morningline.io/ITM. You can actually buy shares of Blackout Time right now on that platform using that URL. And that's another way, actually, you can approach this race in addition to betting to win or whatever kind of pick bets you want to play. Go to that morningline.io/ITM to learn more about it. But I swear to you, I'm not just picking this horse because they're the sponsors of this video. That actually information came after. I just really like this horse. I remember all the chat during the week of the Breeders' Cup about how this one could really give a race to Ted Noffey. Lots of positive buzz. Did not participate there. Had a setback. And to me, that little narrative of knowing the horse had a setback makes me a bit more forgiving of the comeback race. And given the hands that he's in, I just think there's a real chance Blackout Time is going to take a significant step up second time out. There's so much talent here. Maybe we're going to see it on Saturday. Are you buying the case for Blackout Time?
Here's what I'll say about Blackout Time is, in a similar arena, but a little bit different to Napoleon Solo, is that he obviously was very buzzy Breeders' Cup week as a horse that had a real big shot of trying to beat Ted Noffey. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to run. Then he had this time. He shows back up and didn't run as well as I'm sure they would like. However, whether or not he is ready to take another step forward, I do believe there is enough talent with him from a morningline.io perspective to get involved for what he could be throughout the rest of his 3-year-old year. I do question his last performance, how it pertains to what's expected of him in the Arkansas Derby. And really, in all fairness, while I've continued to say no to all of these other horses, it's because I like a horse so much in here. My brain won't allow me to see any other horse cross the wire first.
You make a good point about morningline.io/ITM and how if this is a horse you like and want on side, but don't necessarily think he's going to win this race, you buy shares and you can be in for the long haul. It's one of the fun things about the model over there. You've teased it. Let's get to it. Who's your pick in the Arkansas Derby?
Well, I think we have a unique situation with two horses on the trail, which is that they have shared form and they've both run well. So when you look back to that Remsen and you see the race of between going a mile and an eighth as 2-year-olds between Renegade and Paladin, you knew they were both well thought of. They both ran extremely well in that race and had a good winter at Aqueduct in a couple of the races that they ran in there. You were excited about what was possibly to come from them. And then you get Renegade to come back and run as well as he did in Sam F. Davis with a fast number. You get Paladin to come back and win the Risen Star with a big race and a fast number. Now you can really hold it in your hands and feel how good they both are. And you know they're both good because they've both proven it. It's not just one of them getting lucky a couple times. That's what makes me feel like Renegade is the horse to beat. It makes me believe he'll take a step forward. And although I kind of poo-pooed the idea of Irad choosing this horse over Commandment on the Florida Derby video, let's just play the other side of the hat. And maybe Irad did pick this horse. Maybe Irad and Steve Rushing decided this was Irad's best chance to win his first Kentucky Derby, and he decided to get off of a horse who ran a 101 buyer in Commandment and go to Arkansas and ride a horse like this and Renegade who could take another step forward.
I definitely get the case, and he'll be on every ticket. I mean, he just makes all the sense in the world. Normally at the end of these videos, I ask a question. Who do you think is good? You've heard what we think. What do you think? Leave us a comment in the video. I have another question that I want to ask because we're doing this a little different this week. We're not producing the video. We are trying to get it out as early in the week as possible. For you as the end users, the subscribers to the In the Money YouTube channel, the people who just had this pop up on their smart TVs, whoever you are out there, let us know. Would you rather have a video earlier in the week that is unproduced, or would you rather for us to wait and slide in the videos and the cool graphics and things like that? I want to know what the audience thinks. So yeah, be our focus group and let us know what you think there. Once again, thank you to JK. Thanks to our friends at morningline.io/ITM. Check out the platform. We're going to have a lot more videos and content about them. This has been a production of In the Money Media. I'm Peter Thomas Fornatel. May you win all your photos.